In the beginning I spoke, and everything that exists came into being. I am not distant. I am not silent. I am the God who creates, who forms, who breathes life into what was empty. Before you knew fear, before you knew struggle, I already had a plan. I created you with intention. I declared my creation good, and I did not abandon it. When humanity fell, I did not withdraw my promise. I spoke hope in the midst of failure. I declared that redemption would come. I set a path that no darkness could erase. I called Abraham, not because he was perfect, but because he trusted me. I promised him a future he could not see. I will make of thee a great nation, and I will bless thee. Genesis 12:2. That promise did not die with Abraham. It carried forward through generations. What I bless, I sustain. What I promise, I complete. I am the God who sees you when you feel forgotten. I saw Hagar in the wilderness. I named myself to her as the God who sees. And I see you now. I am not limited by time. I am not threatened by delay. Even when you think nothing is happening, I am working beneath the surface. I promised Isaac stability in uncertain times. I promised Jacob transformation when he wrestled with fear and identity. I changed his name because I changed his future. I am the God who keeps covenant even when people break it. When my people were enslaved in Egypt, I heard their cry. Oppression did not cancel my promise. Bondage did not weaken my power. I have surely seen the affliction of my people, and I am come down to deliver them. Exodus 3:7-8. I am a delivering God. I parted seas not to impress, but to make a way where there was none. I provided manna not just for survival, but to teach trust. I gave water from the rock to prove that I am your source. I do not fail to provide what you need for the journey I assign. I promised my presence, not the absence of challenges. My presence shall go with thee, and I will give thee rest. Exodus 33:14. Rest is not found in circumstances. Rest is found in me. I gave my law not to burden you, but to protect you. My commands were never about control. They were about life. I promised blessings tied to obedience, not because I am harsh, but because I know the end from the beginning. I am faithful even when you doubt me. I am patient even when you complain. I am merciful even when you fall short. I carried my people through the wilderness because promise does not expire in difficult seasons. The Lord thy God will not fail thee, neither forsake thee. Deuteronomy. I do not fail. I do not forget. I do not forsake. Every promise I made then still reveals my nature now. I am the same God. I am the same voice. I am the same keeper of promises. I am the God who goes before you. When Moses' season ended, my promise did not end with him. I raised Joshua not to replace Moses, but to continue what I had already sworn. I do not depend on one person to fulfill my word. I fulfill it through generations. As my people stood at the edge of the Jordan, fear tried to speak louder than faith. But I spoke first. Be strong and of a good courage, for the Lord thy God is with thee whithersoever thou goest. Joshua 1:9. I promised victory, not because they were mighty, but because I was faithful. Walls fell not by strength, but by obedience. Jericho collapsed because I keep my word. What looks impossible to you still responds to my voice. I promised them land, and I gave it to them. Not one word failed. There failed not aught of any good thing which the Lord had spoken. Joshua 21:45. That promise still defines me. I do not speak empty words. When my people forgot me, I did not abandon them. In the days of the judges, they turned away again and again. Yet every time they cried out, I raised a deliverer. I am slow to anger and rich in mercy. Even when you wander, I remain willing to rescue. I raised Deborah to lead. I empowered Gideon though he doubted. I strengthened Samson though he misused his calling. I did not excuse their failures, but I never revoked my promise. I am the God who works through imperfect vessels. When Ruth lost everything, I guided her steps quietly. I positioned her where provision was waiting. I turned loyalty into legacy. I am the God who redeems what seems ordinary. I weave purpose into faithfulness. From Ruth's obedience came a lineage. From that lineage came a king. From that king came a greater promise still unfolding. I raised David, not because he looked like a king, but because I saw his heart. Man looketh on the outward appearance, but the Lord looketh on the heart. 1 Samuel 16:7. I promised David a throne that would endure. Even when his sons failed, I guarded the promise. I am faithful to my covenant, even when people fall short of it. I warned kings to walk humbly. Some listened, some did not. Yet through Saul's rise and fall, through David's victories and repentance, through Solomon's wisdom and decline, I preserved what I promised. I divided a kingdom, but I never divided my faithfulness. When prophets spoke, it was not to destroy hope, but to call people back to it. I sent warnings because restoration was still possible. Even in exile of heart, I remained near. I protected my people through unlikely means. I raised Esther for such a time as this. I placed her in a palace not for comfort, but for deliverance. I turned hidden courage into public rescue. I reversed a decree meant for destruction. I am the God who turns the enemy's plan on its head. What was meant to erase my people became proof that I still reign. I do not need you to see me working for me to be working. I move through conversations, timing, favor, and restraint. I preserve destinies quietly, then reveal them suddenly. From conquest to captivity, from judges to queens, my promise never changed. I am still the God who gives victory. I am still the God who raises leaders. I am still the God who preserves my people. I am the God who remains when answers are delayed. When Job lost what he could touch, I never lost sight of who he was. Suffering did not mean abandonment. Silence did not mean absence. I allowed the testing, but I never surrendered my authority. I watched every moment. I weighed every tear. You may not always understand my ways, but you can trust my heart. When I spoke to Job, I did not explain everything. I revealed myself. Where wast thou when I laid the foundations of the earth? Job 38:4. I reminded him that I am bigger than pain, stronger than confusion, and wiser than human understanding. And when the season ended, I restored him. Not partially, fully. I am the God who restores more than what was lost. When you walk through uncertainty, I remain your stability. I gave wisdom to be your guide. I did not hide it from you. The Lord giveth wisdom. Out of his mouth cometh knowledge and understanding. Proverbs 2:6. Wisdom is not distant. I offer it freely to those who seek me. I promised that diligence would bear fruit, that integrity would guard you, that humility would lead to honor. I warned that shortcuts would cost you, not to threaten but to protect. I am not trying to restrict your life. I am teaching you how to live it well. I promised provision to the faithful. I promised peace to the upright. I promised direction to those who acknowledge me. Trust in the Lord with all thine heart, and he shall direct thy paths. Proverbs 3:5-6. I am the God who directs paths, not just destinations. I taught you that seasons change, but my faithfulness does not. To everything there is a season, and a time to every purpose. Ecclesiastes 3:1. I allowed you to feel the emptiness of chasing what cannot satisfy, so you would recognize the fullness found in me. I am not found in endless striving. I am found in reverence. I showed you that joy is a gift. That work has meaning. That contentment is learned. I am not the author of despair. I am the giver of perspective. I invited you into relationship, not routine. Through songs and prayers, I revealed my closeness. I am near to the brokenhearted. I hear every cry. I store every tear. The Lord is nigh unto them that are of a broken heart. Psalm 34:18. I do not ignore your pain. I respond to it. I promised protection. I promised refuge. I promised peace in the middle of chaos. I do not promise a life without storms. I promise to be your shelter in them. I revealed love not as obligation, but as delight. I am not distant from your longing. I created it. In intimacy and devotion, I showed that love is powerful, pure, and purposeful. Many waters cannot quench love. Song of Solomon 8:7. I am the God who delights in connection. I desire your heart, not just your obedience. From suffering to wisdom, from searching to satisfaction, my promise remains steady. I am with you in the questions. I am with you in the waiting. I am with you in the quiet. I am the Holy One of Israel, and I have not forgotten my people. When nations shook and kings failed, my word still stood. When fear spread, I spoke comfort. Comfort ye my people, saith your God. Isaiah 40:1. I promised strength to the weary. I promised renewal to the weak. I promised hope to those who felt finished. They that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. Isaiah 40:31. I am not rushed by your timeline. Waiting does not weaken my promise. It prepares you to carry it. I promised salvation that would reach beyond borders. Light not just for one people, but for the world. I spoke of a servant who would come quietly. He would carry sorrow. He would bear grief. He would heal not by force, but by sacrifice. He was wounded for our transgressions. Isaiah 53:5. I promised redemption through suffering, victory through surrender, life through obedience. Even when my people rebelled, I kept calling them back. Though your sins be as scarlet, they shall be as white as snow. Isaiah 1:18. I do not delight in punishment. I delight in restoration. I promised a new covenant, not written on stone but on hearts. I will put my law in their inward parts. Jeremiah 31:33. I promised closeness, not distance. Relationship, not ritual. Even when Jerusalem fell and exile followed, my presence did not leave. I went with them. I spoke hope in foreign lands. I gave visions in the night. I reminded them that kingdoms rise and fall, but I remain. I promised that dry bones would live again. I will put my spirit in you, and ye shall live. Ezekiel 37:14. What looks dead to you is not beyond my breath. I promised a shepherd who would gather, guide, and protect. One who would seek the lost and heal the broken. I promised mercy greater than judgment, faithfulness stronger than failure. My mercy endureth forever. Joel 2:13. I warned nations, not to destroy them but to turn them. I called people back before consequences hardened. I promised that I would restore what was lost. I will restore to you the years that the locust hath eaten. Joel 2:25. Loss is not the end of your story. I promised justice for the oppressed. I promised accountability for pride. I promised that no evil escapes my sight. Yet I also promised grace to the repentant. I am righteous and merciful at the same time. I reminded you that obedience matters, that faithfulness is not wasted, that your choices echo into the future. I promised that the day would come when righteousness would rise like the sun. Unto you that fear my name shall the Son of Righteousness arise. Malachi 4:2. I promised a messenger to prepare the way. I promised that I myself would come near. I do not make promises lightly. I do not forget what I have spoken. From warning to hope, from judgment to mercy, my voice remained consistent. Return to me, and I will return to you. My promises are not fragile. They do not expire. They do not weaken with time.